You wake up. The fire's almost out. You reach for the person who slept beside you last night. Your hand finds cold ground. They're gone. Not away, gone. You sit up in the dark, and for the first time in your life, you hear something terrifying. Nothing. No breathing, no voices, no footsteps on the frozen dirt outside. You are alone. Genuinely alone. And out here, alone isn't a mood. It's a countdown. Because a single human, by themselves, in the Ice Age, is not a survivor. A single human is prey. No one to watch your back while you sleep. No one to help you hunt. No one to carry you if your leg breaks. You've got maybe days. Not weeks. Days. And here's the thing nobody tells you about our ancestors. That gnawing panic you feel when you're truly alone, that wasn't weakness. That feeling kept them alive. Loneliness wasn't a sad emotion back then. It was an alarm. Now think about your version of alone. You get home. Nobody's there. And honestly, it feels kind of great. You put on a show, you order food to your door, you scroll for 3 hours and talk to no one. Being alone today is a luxury. It's self-care. It's a Sunday. You can go days without seeing another human face and be totally fine. Your food doesn't need a hunting party. Your safety doesn't need a lookout. Your survival doesn't depend on a single other person. For your ancestors, that was unthinkable. Being separated from the group wasn't peace. It was a death sentence with a slow fuse. There were no strangers to fall back on, no neighbors, no town 2 miles over. If your band left you behind or died or drove you out, there was no backup human anywhere. The nearest other group might be 100 miles away, through territory full of things that eat meat. So the same silence that relaxes you today, it would have filled them with dread. And that dread had a job. Here's what I want to prove to you. Loneliness isn't a modern sickness or a personal flaw. It's an ancient survival instinct, hardwired into your body across hundreds of thousands of years, screaming one message at you: get back to your people or die. So why was being alone so lethal? Let's break down what actually killed the isolated human. The first one is simple: predators. Out on the open landscape of Pleistocene Europe, you shared the ground with cave lions, cave hyenas, and leopards. A group of humans could scare off a big cat with noise, numbers, and thrown spears. One human, asleep, couldn't. Groups survive through what researchers call shared vigilance. Many eyes, taking turns watching the dark. Social groups provide greater protection from predators through shared vigilance and mob defense. Lose the group, and you lose every set of eyes but your own. Picture trying to sleep in the open, knowing that closing your eyes might be the last thing you ever do. But what about the days you didn't get attacked? That's where the second danger creeps in: starvation. A lone human is a terrible hunter. You can't drive a herd, you can't corner a mammoth, you can't be in 2 places at once. Hunting big game took coordination, and coordination took people. Miss a few meals in a cold climate, and your body starts eating itself. Your temperature drops, your judgment goes fuzzy, and a fuzzy brain in the wild makes fatal mistakes. Food out there was a team sport, and the team was everything. Now here's the one you won't see coming. It's not the lions, it's not the hunger. It's the smallest thing of all: a cut, a twisted ankle, a fever. But if you think a scraped knee sounds harmless, you're forgetting there were no doctors, no antibiotics, and no one to bring you water while you shook. In a group, you get injured, someone feeds you while you heal. Alone? A broken leg means you can't walk, can't hunt, can't run. It's over. The proof of how much this mattered is buried in a cave in Iraqi Kurdistan. A Neanderthal we call Shanidar 1. A 50,000-year-old Neanderthal skull shows that, in addition to enduring multiple injuries, this male was profoundly deaf. Yet he lived well into his 40s, quite old by Paleolithic standards. His skull showed a crushing blow near his eye socket, likely causing visual impairment, and his right hand and forearm were missing, the result of an amputation. A blind, deaf, one-armed man does not survive the Ice Age alone. He survived because people carried him. So, what actually kept a human from ever hitting that death spiral? What was the one thing standing between you and the silence? The answer is the group itself, belonging, the band. And the pain of loneliness was the leash that kept you tied to it. Think about what Shanidar 1 really means. More than his lost forearm and other injuries, his deafness would have made him easy prey for the carnivores in his environment, and dependent on other members of his social group for survival. Someone shared their food with a man who couldn't hunt. Someone watched the dark for a man who couldn't hear it coming. For years, maybe decades. That's the mechanism. Not fire, not spears, other people. And the researchers who studied him were blunt about what his bones prove. The presence of social support reflects social cohesion, social roles, and mutual support, such as would have led to the caring of the impaired. Losing that meant losing your food, your safety, your medicine, and your future, all at once. So evolution gave you a feeling that hurt bad enough to stop you from ever wandering off. That feeling was loneliness. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. That desperate need to stay connected, it didn't just keep us alive, it built the entire human world. Think about it. If your survival depends on other people, then keeping those bonds strong becomes the most important job you have. And our ancestors invested in each other in ways that are honestly staggering. Go to a burial site called Sungir near Vladimir in Russia, about 34,000 years old. 2 children were laid head-to-head in a single grave. They were adorned with grave goods, including ivory-beaded jewelry, clothing, and spears, with more than 13,000 beads found, which would have taken 10,000 hours to produce. Sit with that number. Experimental archaeology estimates that a single bead requires around 45 minutes of work. 10,000 hours for children who had died. Nobody spends a year of their life carving beads for a corpse unless love, grief, and connection are burning at the very center of what it means to be human. That's the hidden benefit of needing each other. It gave us grief. It gave us ritual. It gave us art and gifts and the ache of missing someone. The same wiring that panicked when you were alone is the wiring that made you cry at a funeral. Loneliness didn't just keep us alive. It made us the kind of creature worth being alive with. And once you know what to look for, the ground is full of proof. Start at Khafsa Cave in Israel, roughly 90,000 to 100,000 years old. The remains of as many as 15 modern humans were found there, along with 71 pieces of red ochre and ochre-stained stone tools. These weren't tossed aside. They were placed. Death already mattered. Then look at Khafsa's burial 11, a child of about 12 or 13. The large branching antlers of a fallow deer were carefully severed and placed directly across the child's chest and hands, mimicking a deliberate symbolic embrace. An embrace made of antlers, so the child wouldn't lie there alone. Cross to School Cave on Mount Carmel, same rough era. It yielded 10 additional burials, including one individual interred with the jaw of a wild boar cradled in his arms, held close, even in death. Now go back to Shanidar Cave, around 45,000 years ago. 4 individuals were found clustered together in a unique assemblage, with ancient pollen clumped in the sediment around one of the bodies, claimed as evidence of the laying of flowers on the deceased. Debated, sure, but the bodies gathered together are not. Look wider at the Neanderthals themselves. Their isolation may have doomed them. Knowing that Neanderthal communities were small and insular could be key to understanding their extinction, because isolation is generally considered a disadvantage for population fitness. The lesson stacks up across every site. Being together was survival. Being apart was the end. So how many people did you actually need? A real scientist put a number on it. His name is Robin Dunbar, a British anthropologist. In the 1990s, he found a correlation between primate brain size and average social group size. And by extrapolating, he proposed that humans can comfortably maintain 150 stable relationships. That figure is now famous. Dunbar's number, 150. Roughly the size of an ancient band, and weirdly, still the size of your real social world today. But Dunbar found something even wilder about how we hold those bonds together. Apes do it by grooming, picking through each other's fur for hours. And it's not about cleaning, it's about trust. For early humans in groups of 150, grooming would have meant spending almost half their time grooming one another, an impossible burden. So Dunbar suggests humans developed language to serve the same purpose, far more efficiently. Read that again. Talking might be grooming that went verbal, gossip, small talk, checking in. The need to stay bonded may have literally built human speech. Your voice is a tool for not being alone. And here's where it stops being ancient history, because your body still runs this exact program right now. When you feel left out, when a text goes unanswered, when you're the only one not invited, something real happens inside you. Research by Naomi Eisenberger found that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain, leading her to conclude that social pain shares common neuroanatomical substrates with physical pain. Your brain processes being excluded almost like a physical wound. That's not you being dramatic. That's the alarm system firing. Scientists even see it in your brain's structure. The neurobiological profiles of lonely people converge on a network known as the default network, where lonely individuals display stronger functional communication. And here's the theory behind why. These circuits may be upregulated to support mentalizing, reminiscence, and imagination to fill the social void. When you're alone, your brain conjures other people just to cope. And the deepest idea of all, loneliness, similar to hunger, evolved as a signal to reconnect with others, to maintain social bonds. Hunger says eat, loneliness says return. Same ancient design. So go back to that cold morning, the dead fire, the empty ground beside you, that silence pressing in. You know now what that dread really was. It was the predators you couldn't fight alone, the hunt you couldn't finish alone, the wound no one would tend. It was 10,000 hours of ivory beads. It was a boar's jaw held close in the dark. It was a blind, deaf man kept alive by hands that refused to let go. It was 150 faces. It was the reason you learned to speak. That ache you feel when the room empties out, when the last friend leaves, when nobody answers, that's not a modern glitch. It's the oldest voice inside you. And it's still whispering the same 3 words it whispered 50,000 years ago. Don't be alone.